Greetings, children. It's a new week, a new month, a new day. So, we have a lesson here. It's a little bit of a break since we just got back from break. And we're going to be learning about some stuff that you probably haven't learned about before. You see, when most schools stop teaching cursive, they also stop teaching this topic, which is our topic of the day, and that is capital numbers. Now, you're used to lowercase numbers. Everybody knows their lowercase numbers, right? We have 1, of course, and we have 2. Now 2, a lot of people write like this. Some people write with a little loop. The loop is usually for little children, but some people use it still. Just like the 1, you can write it either as just a single bar or like this. It's a little fancier. And then, of course, we have 3 and 4. Now, 4, most people just write like this. Sometimes you'll see like this. Either one is correct. And then 5 and 6. All of these are familiar to you, of course. And then we have 7. Now, I always cross my 7s. Some people don't. So, some people just write a 7 like this. And then 8. And then 9. Now, I always write my 9s like they're a 6 that's upside down. But a lot of people write 9s like this, where it's straight up and down instead of at a slant. And then, of course, 0. So those are our 10 digits that we're used to. These are our lowercase digits. Now, capital numbers are a little bit different. So capital numbers we usually use, they're mainly for more complex maths or for like a more formal occasion, like if you're writing the date of your wedding or the date for a special occasion, like the day that you found out that your webbed feet were cut out when you were just a small child. So let's take a look at capital numbers. There's a couple things that we need to look at in capital numbers. I'll just draw a 1 here in the middle for reference. Now a 1 always has this top part and the bottom part. Unlike the lowercase 1, this one always has these parts. So it always has this and it always has this. And you'll notice that there's 2 bars in the middle. Now, we call this the double bar or the double pole. So, most of the time it's referred to as the double bar. Now, almost all of the capital numbers have the double bar. The only one that doesn't is 0, and we'll talk about that one at the end. Some of the capital numbers also have what's called a double flag. So let's look at 5, for example. So 5 has the double flag at the top, and it also has the double pole, or the double bar, at the bottom. So this is how you would draw a capital 5. As you can see, it looks a little bit different. It's very fancy. Okay, so double flag, double bar. Now, these have other names as well, and we'll talk about those in just a moment. Let's talk about 0, though. 0, when you write a capital, has 2 bars across it. So it's not really a double bar because it's not either vertical or oblique. Oblique just means slanted, by the way. And it's not really a double flag because it's not connected to the other number like 3 or 5, which are the other numbers that have a double flag, or 4 either. So we just call this the double slash. So 0 has a double slash. All the other numbers have a double bar. And then several numbers have a double flag. Now, let's talk about some of the history behind these. So capital numbers were used back in ancient times mainly, specifically Edwardian. So the words for these, the original words, come from Edwardian script. So we have the double bar. Let me just go ahead and draw the 1 again with the double bar. So the double bar, the second bar, because of course a lowercase has the first bar, so the second bar was called a friml. So we have that second bar that makes up a double bar, and that part is called a friml. Let's look at a 3. We haven't actually looked at the 3 yet. So the 3 looks like this. It has a double flag and a double bar. So this part, even though it's slanted, is still called a double bar. And then the second part of a double flag was actually originally called a flig. F-L-I-G instead of F-L-A-G. And then the double slash that's used in capital 0, since there was always 2 bars, it was always plural, so these were called tibbles. T-I-B-B-L-E-S. So we have a friml, a flig, and tibbles, and then those were used. Now, we don't usually use these terms unless, like I said, you're in kind of an upper level math class that uses more technical terminology. A lot of times with math, as you know, there's always something that uses more complex terms than what you use. So let's take a look. I'm going to just write each of the capital numbers, and then there's going to be a worksheet for you to practice these after the video. So capital 1, we have the double bar. Remember, it always has this top part, always has the bottom part, because otherwise it would look too much like an 11 or the symbol for parallel. For a 2, you never use the loop. So the loop is, like I said earlier, more of a childish thing to do. So we have to get rid of our childish ways here. And we use the double bar, and it's an oblique double bar. Now 3 is a little different. Most people, when they write 3s, they write them like this. And that's where that old joke comes from. And it says, what's half of 8? So if we took an 8 and we drew it on the board like this, and then we just took half of it, what do we get? 3. So 3 is half of 8. Of course, that's just a joke. Everybody knows that half of 8 is 4. So 3, most people write it rounded. However, for capital 3, it's going to be pointed at the top. So it's written like this, but it has the double parts as well. So we have like this, and then this part goes down like that. Now the double 4, or the capital 4 rather, can be written either way. So whichever you prefer is just fine. If you like it open at the top, that's fine. If you like it closed at the top, that's fine. But just know you have a double bar here. Sorry, double flag there. The double bar part comes over at this side. So if you like to connect those, you're good. If not, leave them separate like that. Okay, 5 we've already seen earlier. It has the double flag at the top, and then the double bar at the bottom. 6, some people have a little bit of trouble drawing, so it goes like this, and then it has the double bar. So 6 has the double bar, and once again, it's an oblique double bar. 7 just has a double bar. Now some people want to put the double flag on it as well because it has a straight part like a 3 or a 5. But for 7, we only use the double bar. We don't use a double flag. And then it's always crossed. So before, I know sometimes in elementary especially, teachers don't want you to cross your 7s. So a capital 7 is always crossed. There's usually a little notch at the top as well. So this is what a capital 7 looks like. Capital 8 looks like a normal 8, except it has this double bar here. Okay, so if you're one of those type of people that draws their 8s with 2 circles, well, you're kind of out of luck. There used to be, and once again, this is kind of an older, archaic version, and it's not used anymore, but there used to be a capital 8 that was two tangent circles like this that are externally tangent that also had two internally tangent circles that were all tangent at the same point. So it looked like an 8 inside of an 8. But it's a little too time consuming to draw, so if you're writing in all capitals, then that capital 8, you can see, took me a lot longer to draw than this one. So it's just not used anymore. And then a capital 9, once again, it's kind of like the 4. You can draw it either way, but the preferred way is to draw it like this. Kind of like the opposite of the 6, and once again, I messed that up a little bit. You have to kind of go out a little bit first, and then bring your double part in. So it's more like that, kind of like the 6. You can draw it like this with the double bar, but once again, that's not the common way to do it. Capital numbers are a little bit more sophisticated, so you want it to be sophisticated. You're going to draw it like this. This way it just looks a little childish. And then capital 0 we've already discussed. It has the double slash in it. Alright, so let's take a look. Let's review a little bit about our capital numbers. Capital numbers are usually larger than lowercase numbers as well. That's something that, like capital letters, that's something they have in common. So, you can see our capital 1 has the double bar. We always use the slanted part at the top and the flat part at the bottom. Capital 2, no loop, double bar. Capital 3, double bar at the bottom, and then it has a pointed part at the top with a double flag. Capital 4 has the double flag that is oblique. It's the only double flag that's oblique. And then it has the double bar. It can be joined at the top. It doesn't have to be joined at the top. Capital 5, double flag, double bar. Capital 6, looks like the opposite of a capital 9. Looks like you flipped it upside down. Capital 7, remember, you always do the cross on it. A lot of times we put the notches at the top as well. Capital 8. So this one, once again, you can't draw the double circle 8. You have to draw it where you start here and end here, and then make that last part a double bar. Capital 9's got the double bar. We usually use it curved like this, so it's opposite of a 6. And then capital 0 has the double slash. It kind of looks like the Greek letter theta with an extra bar. Alright, well, I hope you enjoyed this presentation. Like I said, there will be a worksheet that I will link you to practice your capital numbers. Some of you need to practice your lowercase numbers as well. I'll just go ahead and say that. So, enjoy, thanks, and have a great rest of the month.